Okay, so I want to talk about my, I wanted to say a brief history of my education. Um, Here it goes. I started out going to a school for special needs children, for the disabled, basically, because I myself have a disability which is really just an emotional handicap. But the physical aspect is I'm either missing part or all of my brainstem. Anyway, that was the reason why my neurologist that I visited every so often from the ages of 3 up until 12, when I was 3 he diagnosed me with autism and retracted that diagnosis by the time I was 11. Anyway, it was because of this I had to be enrolled in a special school in the 1987-1988 school year, although I was, 3.5, and I entered the school in the second semester of that year. So I started, and I had teachers who were very willing to work with me right away on helping me develop quicker, mentally and physically. I mean, it's not that I couldn't move around. I was perfectly capable of walking. But, my motor skills, my coordination was just so bad, so off. I mean, key things were like, these are kind of embarrassing things, but I couldn't speak in full sentences till I was almost 5. But, the speech department at that school really helped me with that. And, there was trivial things like I couldn't tie my own shoelaces until I was 10. But I think more than anything, that was out of pure laziness. I never wanted to learn. I'd watch people do it for me, and then, I just suddenly plopped down on the basketball court one day at school and just started tying my shoes. Anyway, we went to a school called Cherokee from when I was 3.5, so kind of pre-kindergarten, until the middle of 4th grade. Now, apparently, I had taken some kind of test, either that same year or the year before, and this test, it determined that I was too smart for Cherokee and that I needed to be mainstreamed. I'll elaborate on that more in a minute. But I want to describe what school life was like at Cherokee. I mean, I had made many friends, and that everybody pretty much had something in common. There was something wrong with all of us. We all had a defect of some kind, but that's how we were all able to come together as students. So it was a very accepting school. And it's the school that I thought that I would go to for all of my schooling, right up through 12th grade. But, that turned out to not be the case, as I said, when my teacher one day in 4th grade said, "James, I'm going to take you on a little road trip. We're going to go to another school." I said, "Why are we going to another school?" And she told me, "Well, apparently you took a test." Yeah, I mean, she even said apparently. But she said you took a test and it determined that you were too smart for this school, Cherokee. And the people higher up want to mainstream you. They want to put you in a regular school. I said, okay. Nobody asked me how I felt about this. And they really didn't. Nobody came to me. It was just all thrown at me all at once. So I went along for that little car ride. We wound up at Lockhart Middle. And and I just phone's ringing, but I'm not going to answer it. Not middle. I'm sorry. This phone's screwing up my train of thought. But anyway, went to Lockhart Elementary, where I met my teacher. And I met the person who would become my teacher for the remainder of that year. And, you know, and I noticed immediately that the classroom, the students at least, were all males. Just the teacher and the assistant were females. This would continue, you know, when I was in 5th grade. But, you know, so, you know, I got mainstreamed. This was the 1993-1994 school year, so I started 1994 in an entirely new environment. I knew not one person. Not one. So that led to things just being very awkward for me. And apparently in 5th grade I gave half the school head lice. Yeah, another embarrassing moment. So there was that, and you know, by the end of the 94-95 school year, this 5th grade, it was the end, I was just, you know, enjoying a summer off, not really knowing what to expect come middle school, which was the 95-96 school year, which 6th grade. Oh, man, let me tell you, middle school at Lockhart Middle was a nightmare. It's a nightmare for all kids in that time of adolescence, but for me it was just hell. It was my version of hell. I got picked on and teased relentlessly. Why? Because they noticed right away that I would have one class a day with all the retardeds, with all the special people. And, you know, that's where everybody just got this idea that I was, you know, really. You know, because I was probably smarter than half of those idiots who proceeded to lump me in with the special class. You know, I cried every so often those first 2 years of middle school because something always, I don't know, I just broke easily, I guess. And so by the time I was in 8th grade in the 97-98 school year, I had to toughen up. I had to be a man. I mean, I was 13. And 8th grade was interesting because the final month of the school year, my parents had to cancel going to Sarasota because I broke my right wrist. I don't know if you can see it, but scar's like right over there. The bone popped out as I was trying to do a stunt. on my bicycle that my brother was doing on his rollerblades. I crashed into a fence trying to protect my head, and the collided so hard, the force snapped my wrist, just snapped my forearm, and the bone just popped out. Now, when I said I had to toughen up and be a man, I meant it. You know, I was in so much shock I couldn't even cry. But when I returned to school a few days later, it was exam time, and my friends did my exams for me, but I still got the credit. That, and I think they just passed me to high school out of pity. So, after 2 months of physical therapy and refractures, I began high school in the fall of 1998 at Edgewater. 9th grade was hell. Okay, maybe not as hellish as all of middle school, but it was still pretty bad. You know, I hated it. My grades sucked, I had no friends, and instead of being called retarded, everyone had a new assumption of me. Gay. I was gay. Partially because I was into the Smashing Pumpkins heavily at the time. And I knew that had to be bullshit because listening to the Smashing Pumpkins does not make one gay. I mean, yeah, sure, that band probably has legions of gay fans, but still, anyway, that's not the point. The point is, that was just the new thing for all the bullies. Gay. I even went so far as to make one guy a senior. I don't know why a senior would be riding the bus, that kind of threw me off. I made him think that I was gay, and that was just to get him away from me. I made the mistake of saying, when he asked me if I was gay, I said, that's for me to know and you to find out. And he never sat next to me again. So I took care of that problem. I meant to say, and you not to know. You know what I mean? Anyway, then I tried to go to summer school because I thought I had failed algebra. Until I went that whole day and I got my report card. It said I had a 2.1 GPA. You needed at least a 2.0 to pass on to the next grade. And I saw that I had a 2.1. And, there's the phone again. I'm not going to answer it. I don't care if it's my mother. I saw that I had a 2.1. And they said, oh, you'll pass. You'll be a sophomore. And, you know, I said, oh, that's cool. And they, you know what, I'm going to have to continue this later.